So thank you all for tuning in today. I do have some information prepared to speak with you all here today about, but this call is really for you, which is why I invited you. I wanted to, start off the conversation by asking each one of you guys what your expectations were for today's call and what you would like to get out of today's call moving forward to help you with your social media and, of course, the messaging that you're putting out there online, because ultimately my goal is to provide a service and a value. All of the information I've gathered is secondary, but primary is equipping your business to go out there and, to make it, to share the story and to create the impact that you're already making and just, really, really heighten that. So, Michael, if you wouldn't mind, since we've already chatted prior, if you wouldn't mind getting started, what you'd like to get out of today's call.
Oh, I was going to say, you know why I'm here. Honestly, my main hope is to help back you up and just kind of help provide more information about the video production services that we're prepared to provide and kind of help local businesses with.
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, Michael, he's also owner of Virginia Video, and he's also the producer and editor for the podcast, Discover Virginia Beach podcast. And we're also branching out to Virginia's For You podcast as well. So, yeah, with that said, Zoe, you tuned in first. Love to get to you next. If there's any expectations you have for the conversation here, or what you'd like to get out of it specifically, we'll be sure to tackle that first.
I don't really have any expectations. I'm just kind of here to listen and learn.
Perfect. No worries. Clarissa?
Yes, so my expectations, they're open. Anything that Joe has going on, I love to put my ear to and just listen and see what I can learn. I do own a cleaning business, so I think more so for me is just like marketing within like a budget, or like how can I reach my audience? So that's what I'm here to learn. Anything like marketing wise and how I can just show up better online on social media.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. Anything for you, Will?
I mean, again, I guess like Zoe, I mean, I would love to just listen and learn. I, outside of doing like the financials, the books, running Square, getting everything ready, like social media and, marketing usually takes a back seat to all of that. And I'm not really on social media personally, as far as my private life, but I mean, if I could learn something and figure out how to, get our brand product or, just word of mouth out there, I would love to take advantage of anything, any crumb I can get, I'll utilize, and nothing's wasted, and, everything's just learned. So
cool beans. Thanks for sharing, Will. Betty, I see you jumped on. Betty, it's so great to have you in the chat. If you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself, sharing your camera. Hey, friend. I know last we talked, you had so much going on. We appreciate you jumping on. Real quick, did you get the question we were going through? Just what you want to get out of today's call is essentially what we're going through first.
Yes. So I just wanted to kind of jump on and meet everybody to see who was on the chat today. And always, I'm a big supporter of Joe and what he's doing there in Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads area. So I just wanted to say hey and to kind of meet everybody. I'm Betty with Simple Southern Getaways, and we have 2 short-term rentals in the Norfolk area. So nice to meet everyone.
Yeah. Eddie, thanks for jumping on, and we're so glad we could have you. Cool. So, guys, I'm going to just dive in next into exactly what you guys are wanting to tackle. I do have some slides. If you are getting value from it, just give me a thumbs up. And if not, just give me a thumbs down. I take feedback very well, and I'll be sure to slide through what exactly we want to be sure and cover today, because I know your time is very sensitive. So with that said, I wanted to get kicked off with something really funny that happened to me this past week. I was at Back Bay, not Back Bay, the, what is that? Hunt Club Farms for kiddos. And they have like the animals, the petting zoo. I'm allergic to animals, so it's not my thing, but I'm with my 10-month-old and our 6-year-old guy that we're fostering. And, we get into the chicken pen, and there are these chickens everywhere. And I don't know if you guys have been around chickens, but they're really intimidating creatures. I mean, I'm not a vegan per se, but I'm going to be respectful of everyone's dietary restrictions. But I prefer chicken post chicken, when it's like cooked and ready to eat on a nice sandwich. But these things were so intimidating. And, you know, I'm walking around and, you know, I'm trying to be the adult here, right? Because kids are getting scared and I'm, you know, reassuring them the chickens aren't going to eat them. And this little girl walks up to me and she says, Joe, Mr. Joe, can you pick up a chicken? Can you pick up the chicken and give it to me? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So you know what you do when kids ask you favors, you kind of make your halfway attempt, or at least I did, right? And the chickens are going everywhere. I try to pick up one. The turkey comes by because there's like randomly turkeys in this chicken pen. And he like plucks my hand and I get bit. And I'm just like trying to get this chicken. And finally, I was like 50% committed at that point. And then she asked me again and she's like, I'm just really scared. I'm really scared. And I want to be able to do this. I need your help. So finally, I just summoned up all the courage. And of course, you know, I strategically picked out the smallest chicken, the one that wouldn't hurt me, right? And I picked up this chicken and I was afraid that it was going to scratch me or bite me or poop on me, but it didn't. It just sat there. The chicken sat there and I handed the chicken to the little girl and her eyes lit up and she was like, Mr. Joe, thank you for grabbing this chicken. And my heart was so like warmed in that moment, because how many of you guys have been in a moment where like you're kind of scared to do something, or you've been around somebody that's scared to do it and you're like, you just like, you're almost there. The chicken's there. It's at a petting zoo. You're in this perfect environment, but the next thing is actually like taking the action. So in today's conversation, I want you guys to just, if you don't have anything else, don't be a chicken. Just pick up the chicken. For a lot of people, social media or marketing or, you know, figuring out your avatar or who you're talking to is a very scary thing. But ultimately, all you have to do is identify where the chickens are, where it's safe, right, to pick them up, and then pick up the chicken. So with that said, I want to talk about the first thing, and this is the most difficult thing because anybody can start a social media account, but in order to really get an audience, to get people to engage, you have to unlock engagement. So if you guys are with me so far, give me a thumbs up. I'll just test this out here. If you're gaining value so far, give me a thumbs up. And so unlocking engagement is really, really about building social media following your customers want to engage with. Obviously, right? You want to talk about things they want to talk about, right? So one of the ways I've done this is through the Discover Virginia Beach Facebook group. I started this in 2021, and ultimately the goal was simple. I wanted to build an audience where people could get real-time information about Virginia Beach that was positive and uplifting and informative, and doing so in a way that brought value to other people. That was my way of unlocking engagement. Your way of unlocking engagement might be different, but ultimately it's to start with the very simple premise of, you know, picking up the chicken, of figuring out how do I want to begin to engage my audience. So one of the super cool things that we can do is start off by creating an audience identifier, which is what I did with each one of you guys when we were had you work on your podcast episode. So a lot of times your audience can feel like a mystery. It can feel like this character behind a mask. Like, who is this ABC customer? Why do they vacation in Virginia Beach? Why do they need a doctor to assist them when it comes to, you know, beautification of their body? Why do people go to the farmers markets in the first place, right? Well, so we begin to take off this mask by identifying some general demographic information, like their age, their gender, their location, the income level that they're at, and of course, the education level. Now, obviously, we're all ethical business owners. We're not going to steer away from a certain customer base based upon these factors. We're merely going to identify those to help resonate and better create our messaging. Because at the end of the day, we want to figure out how to connect with people and where to connect with people most. And that leads into the psychographics, which is just identifying interests, values, and lifestyle choices. So I'll give an example. I'm working with an art company right now, and they have a Pride Festival coming up, right? So obviously they have a flyer, so you can post a flyer, and regardless of your viewpoints of Pride festivals, it is something that's important for them, so as well as for their audience. So one of the cool ways that you can really promote this is not only sharing flyers, but also finding, pride focused music to accompany your post, or finding pride focused Facebook groups or communities within these different audiences that you can really target into. I think everyone's heard of a Facebook group so far, and those are probably the easiest and most simple ways to really begin to dive deep into the demographics, because I don't know if you've seen it lately, but people are pretty open on Facebook. And that's a really fun and easy way to get to know people. Obviously, the Facebook profiles share a lot about them anyway, where they work, where they live, or the information they share in their profile. And that can begin to give you some ideas on what type of demographics and psychographics specifically it is you're working with. Does that make sense for everybody? If I could get some thumbs up. Michael, I want to call you out real quick, if that's okay. I'll call out Michael and then one other person. I want to hear from you guys, Michael and one other person, about what are some ways that you have worked on identifying your audience. What are some things, maybe some things that you've done that have worked, or some things you've done that haven't worked? Either way, just to share with the group, and give myself a break from talking, because you guys have a lot to add as well as far as value goes. So I want to give you a chance. We'll hear from Michael first.
Okay, absolutely. Funny enough, a lot of the work that I've done has been interpersonal. So I actually I've been in business for 3 years, going on 4 years now. But throughout that entire time, been very, very light on actual marketing. It's mostly just been networking and just interpersonal connections. But in that capacity, I've worked a lot in networking groups, free networking groups or events, things hosted by the local city, whether it's Virginia Beach or Norfolk or even Hampton. Basically just going to events like that and connecting with other small business owners, because a lot of what I'm focused on is helping small business owners getting their message out in a clear and professional way. So it kind of works out well in that regard. We're all kind of funneled to the same place for similar goals. So while it may not be as high tech as some of the very targeted marketing you can do using Meta's tools on Facebook or Instagram or even Google Ads, I wouldn't discount the value of just in-person connection. Like, after all, Joe, that's kind of how we met. We met at an event that someone else was hosting. It was sort of like a networking event. So yeah, it's just, there are a lot of different tools in your tool bag as a small business owner. So sometimes you'll want to put together a marketing budget and really try to push your business and your product. And other times, just showing up somewhere, shaking some hands, that can go a long way.
Love it, Michael. Thank you for sharing. One other person, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and maybe share one thing that you've learned that worked well, or one thing that didn't work well. I just saw all the cameras just turned off. Oops. If someone's feeling brave, would love to have you share.
Hi. So, one thing I believe that worked for me was the color of my business, making it stand out. Um, I think a lot of cleaning businesses, they go for, like, I guess the color that they would like, they would enjoy. But I wanted my business card to, like, stand out. I wanted my business card to, like, amongst all of everybody else's, I wanted it to just be bright. And I noticed, like, every time when I hand my card out, they're like, this card is so cute, it's so bright. Like, it's not black and white, it's not green and white. And that's like, no, if you love that color, that's good. But I just wanted something that was going to stand out amongst the others, especially like if you look at a cleaning business template. They usually have like blue, green, black, and white. So I just really wanted something that would stand out amongst the crowd, and that's pink. Even with my shirt, like right now, I have my shirt. Anywhere I go, I could just see people leaning in, like, what does that say? Or they'll come up and say something to me because it's just so bright. So that works for me so far.
Yeah, I love it, Clarissa. That's great. And I'll add another point to that too. Like your before and after pictures are a great way to showcase your business because people like clean things. People like to see transformation. So that's one of those, if you will, psychographics that, you know, visually people find to be engaging or entertaining. I know this is pretty foundational stuff here, but ultimately this is the beginning pillar of figuring out like what type of content to create to unlock engagement. Because if you just start like randomly posting content or perhaps, you know, just signing up for a profile or signing up for, you know, all the social media profiles and just blasting every one of them, it's not going to be as it might not be as intentional as of an approach that might not yield the greatest number of reward for you. So I want to share this next slide with you guys. This is the niche organizer. There's this really cool person on Instagram that kind of highlighted this super awesome worksheet. And I'd encourage everyone to do it if you have access to like Claude AI or ChatGPT or one of those AI softwares. This is a really fun exercise to do. You start off by simply, actually, let me just show you guys. I'll just sign into ChatGPT. Would that be helpful if I show you guys as opposed to talk about it? All righty. So, so you just log into ChatGPT. It's like $20 a month if you do want to pay for it. We'll just use real estate as an example. And ChatGPT is super simple. So just like solve a problem in real estate category. And I'll show you guys in a minute why this is helpful. So whatever category you're in, think about your niche. So like Betty, yours is Airbnb, short-term rentals. Michael, yours is video agency. Zoe, yours might be, beautification, body enhancements, any sort of those types of words. And if you need more words, just ChatGPT it. It will give you an idea of what category, and then ask it to create. I like to go big, so create 25 to 30 subcategories of real estate niche. And so as we begin to like really, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Oops, hold on. Screen. All right, can you guys see my screen okay? All right, cool. So as we begin to like really hone in on exactly what subcategories there are, you can really begin to identify like, okay, there's residential real estate, commercial real estate, industrial real estate, and so forth. So the whole reason why we want to do this for your niche is to figure out what topics of conversation you can use to unlock that engagement. So one of the examples I'd like to use, I'd like to pick on Denny in Virginia. She's driving right now. So I can pick on her and she doesn't mind. So Denny is a social media influencer for the city of Chesapeake. She talks about the peak of Chesapeake. And one of the things that she does is she focuses in on the category of Chesapeake and the subcategory of tourism and parks and recreation. So really diving into those subcategories, she can then begin to see, okay, there's parks, there's events, there's, farmers markets. And as she begins to break down her subcategories more, she begins to see overlaps, which is the exact thing I noticed when I began doing the podcast. If I talk to more people in similar industries that are non-competing, I can have a more cohesive messaging with my podcast and also meet great people like you guys without having to compete for business. Because ultimately, if we go back to our second slide, our audience shares a lot of the same demographic makeup for Virginia Beach as they do throughout the Hampton Roads area. I wanted to see, does anybody want to try out their niche real quick? Or are you good? You'll try this later. If you want to try out your niche, go ahead and unmute yourself and I'll be happy to run through a quick little segment with you just to kind of identify some keywords if you'd like. All right. Sounds like everyone's going to work on that. Oh, Michael said yes. Okay. Michael, let's have a keyword here.
That was actually from earlier, but yeah, I'll do this with you. Yeah.
Do you want, would that be helpful?
Well, I think it could be good to walk through if everyone else wants to see, as long as everyone else is good with that.
Yeah, let's do that. So Michael, what category we'd like to focus in on?
Why don't we focus on, we'll just broadly, videography for small businesses.
Okay.
Just do that.
And these keywords do not have to be perfect, guys. I mean, you're talking to, I'm using ChatGPT 3.5 right now, which is the free version, just to kind of show you what it's still capable of. So I just typed in find and solve the problem for videography for small business. And it's identifying some problems. So obviously there's high cost, lack of expertise, time constraints, poor video quality. I'm going to stop it right there. And I'm going to expand it and say create 25 to 50 subcategories of conversation. And this is where, for those of you wondering, how is this going to bring business? How is this going to generate revenue for my business? This is where the money starts to happen. It happens through the engagement. Now, engagement is not a KPI for sales. It is two different metrics because that's the marketing side of your business. The sales side of your business is where you track the KPI for, okay, did someone book a stay at my Airbnb? Did someone buy a house with me? Did somebody, sign up to have a podcast recorded? That's different from the engagement, but the engagement is the leading indicator that helps bridge that marketing piece to the sales piece. So obviously this is going to give us a lot. This is going to give us way, 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 way too much information. But as you guys can begin to see, Michael can now go through here and say, okay, a workshop, interactive session focusing on teaching or developing skills, networking, as he alluded to earlier, talking with people that might be in the market for, or at least curious about what type of video production services that might be interested in. How do you know what people are interested in? Well, you've already done your audience identifier. So now you have a better idea of who your folks are. Is this making sense so far for everybody? Give me a thumbs up if it is, please. If not, I'd love to hear any questions or input.
What was the second question you typed in?
Yeah, the second question I typed in was create 25 to 50 subcategories of conversation.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And the reason why we want to phrase it as conversations is because like with social media platforms like Facebook and Reddit, for example, you're going to see a lot of conversations. And those conversations are what you track that can lead to either a consultation or the potential of a sale. It's somebody raising their hand to say, hey, I might be interested in this. It doesn't necessarily have to be an official sales pitch. It could be a presentation or a guide or resource, which we've used in the Facebook groups before. And those do really, really well. Okay. I'm going to shift gears here a little bit because I know we're coming up to time. I want to talk about being a better communicator. One, because this is what a lot of I'll use the word competitors here on Facebook and other platforms do is they are not really being good communicators. They're posting about their profession or their value or their service, but they're not doing the other steps, like understanding who is in the Facebook group or who is in the conversation and who exactly they're talking to. So one of the things I wanted to share with you guys is this really cool model. It's called the PCM model, made popular by Brendan Kane. He wrote the book Hook Points. Any of our Taylor Swift fans out there, like my wife, Brendan Kane actually created several activations that helped launch Taylor Swift's marketing and advertising campaign and turn it up to the next level. And he did it by simply providing a few little tweaks to her website. He went on to create 1 million followers, and he created this awesome model I wanted to share with you guys. It's called the PCM model, and it stands for Processing Communication Model. It's basically like the different types of conversations you might have with people. So think thinkers, he gives it these categories: thinkers, persisters, rebels, promoters, harmonizers, imaginizers. These don't really mean a whole lot to people unless you associate with what exactly they're talking about. So everyone knows the movie Inside Out. So think feelings and emotions, right? Thinkers think logic. Logic is their currency. They think thoughts. So we're going to include, stats, graphs, information like that. Persisters are opinions, and value is their currency. So I would lean more towards the persister because value of information is very true to me. I want to shout out the rebels there. You see a lot of these people because they're banned in Facebook groups, or they might have posts that are polarizing. Not always the best case, but I'll use these folks as examples. We think of people like Donald Trump, or people who like Donald Trump, who have these really, reactionary posts that, they relate to humor. Humor is their currency. Regardless of your political affiliation, a lot of political individuals, for example, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, as referenced in Brennan Kane's book, uses these types of rhetoric when communicating with their audience to help get votes or to help solidify their branding and messaging within their audience. So obviously, for our purposes as small business owners, we want to figure out what type of communication style our audience relates to the most. And typically, we all function within these parameters. It's not like a hard and fast rule or like an Enneagram test where this person only communicates this way all the time. No, people are unique and complex. But as you begin to create content, you really want to keep in mind, okay, how many thinking posts have I done? How many rebel posts have I done? How many imaginary posts have I done? Where imagination is the currency of the conversation. Okay, why is this important? Why am I talking about this? Inside Out 2. I don't know if you guys have kids. Inside Out is one of the biggest Pixar films ever made, and then they made a second one, a sequel. It is now the #1 film in 2024, and they've generated $728.6 million worldwide after 2 weekend releases. Obviously, I haven't seen the movie, right? These things matter. When we have conversations with our audience, when we create content, when we record podcast episodes, these are all of the things that we should be thinking about when we are trying to complete a message or complete a service or value to the audience. Not, hey, my name is Joe, I'm a podcast host. Sign up to be a podcast. Like, no, how can I tell your story? How can I help you connect with your business and your audience? These are the things that are what are going to help you set yourself apart from your competitors. And even more so, creating this type of content will help in your marketing department as well as your sales department. And if you're doing both at the same time, like I am, it helps create that even nice bridge of, okay, engagement makes conversations. Conversations leads to sales. Great. Now my business can stay afloat and I can generate the revenue I need because I know how this process works time and time again. So how do we factor in the cost of acquiring a customer? That's what I would like to talk about next and where I'll kind of end the conversation today. CAC. The CAC formula is basically a formula for how you figure out the cost of acquiring a customer. And the reason why this is so important, to Clarissa's point, one of the things that Clarissa was mentioning prior to the beginning of the call was, how do I factor in paid ads or hiring an agency or paying for certain type of marketing? Don't pay for anything until you've identified your CAC. Don't buy anything. Don't pay the Zuckerbergs. Don't hire anybody else until you figure this out. Because once you figure this out, your way of spending money will be reshaped and reformed. So very simply, CAC is the sales cost plus the marketing cost, right? Sales and marketing, your two ways of driving your business, divided by the number of customers acquired. So by identifying this formula, obviously there's a whole lot more that goes into it. And spoiler alert, we'll talk about that next month when we have our next meeting. This is one of the ways in which you can begin to identify where you need to potentially spend ad dollars or agency dollars within your budget for your business. And one of the cool things that we do, one of the cool things that I offer here at Discover Virginia Beach Podcast is this really cool opportunity to have podcasts recorded for free to help promote your business and to give you a voice in exactly whatever area of business you're doing with the least amount of competition possible. I like Michael. I'm not going to go interview 5 other video agencies because it's a numbers game. Like, I want to build a relationship with Michael and with you all to really figure out how we can connect with your audience. So if you found value in this, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I'm going to hit the end recording button here. For those of you folks who are watching the recording, if you didn't make it live, you're going to miss out on this next part, which is the coolest part, but you should tune in next month for the actual live stream, and we'll see you there.